Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Glass and Jill Green.
300 is always the number to call. Welcome back, Jill.
Thank you, Kelly. Same to you. Hump Day.
It is, isn't it?
We have no song. We haven't had for a long time.
No, it's just a Wednesday. It's a hump day. So
it's not fun anymore.
At noon today, it'll be on the downhill side to the weekend. And if you slide too fast, you'll smash right into Saturday if you're not careful.
Right into your retirement party.
Yes, I know.
Hello? What are you not pitching it now? Come on. Come on.
I was going to. You just, hadn't given me a chance yet.
Oh, I did. Well, you already bumped over to Saturday. You missed your Friday night gala.
Well, Friday evening.
What is Friday evening, Kelly Class?
From 5 until 8 o'clock at the Turf Club.
Yes.
Will be my going away retirement party.
Although your last day is December 31st.
Yeah,
but this is
I'll be here until December 31st.
For the masses to say goodbye.
Maybe, in case, if I cross the line or something, I mean, the management might come to me and they might say, Kelly, we just can't afford to have you around here anymore.
You could just go in one quick second, just do the 7 words you're not supposed to say, and go, peace out, buddy. Leave the studio. That'd be a way to go.
Yeah, I know. That would be a way to go, but it is not the way I'm going to go.
Because
I can get in trouble, too.
It would erase all the 45 years of good work. It's like when Woody Hayes punched the guy. But anyway, I digress. Right. What's happening Friday night, Kelly Class?
It's my going away retirement party, whatever you want to call it, and just stop by. There will be free hors d'oeuvres.
Yes.
And a no-host bar.
Yes.
And I just want you to stop by and say hi.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye, yeah. Or at least, many of you I may have never met before, but you listen all the time, and I feel like I know you. I just don't know your name or your face. So
I know.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
It's funny because when I was leaving the gym yesterday, this guy was parked very close to my car, and I said, "Oh, don't worry, it's fine. You know how people get in a rush. He was trying to get something out of his back seat. I'm like, don't worry." And then he responded, and I thought he had an Australian accent, like our listener. And I'm like, wait, where are you from? I go, do you have an accent? And then he said, no, I just got done running, so he probably sounds slurry. But I swear at first it sounded like Australian. I'm like, is this our Australian bloke that calls in all the time and we haven't heard from in a while? So it's kind of funny. You recognize their voices, they recognize ours.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be fun to come in, say goodbye to Kelly, and it should be a good time.
Yes, it will. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just sitting here watching on the screen all this snow and slick roads and stuff back east. They got like 90 feet of snow in New York or something like that.
Well, Buffalo. Poor Buffalo. Buffalo gets a bad rap anyway.
Shuffle off to Buffalo.
It was like, literally, they said they have 4 feet of snow. Yeah. Some places 5, and they're expecting in the next 3 days another 3 feet.
That's
3 feet.
It's from the lake effect.
The lake effect. That's right. So anyway, when I lived in Ohio, we used to drive to Buffalo to go skiing.
I can't even imagine that much snow here.
Oh,
I can't imagine.
How do you get out of your? I mean,
it was
coming down.
We get that much in the mountains, but we don't get it down here in the valley.
I think they were getting 3 to 5 inches an hour. And it was just like crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, 5 feet fell in some parts. Some were expected to get 6 feet. Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, we have a caller. I know it's dangerous, but I'm going to do it anyway. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, lovely Jill.
Good morning.
Hey, Kelly. Do I have a personal invitation from you?
Do you have a what?
A personal invitation from you to your going away party or what?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Please stop by and see me.
All righty. I'll make sure I'll take some almond cakes and some almond milk and some almond tortillas just for you because we love you.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. No, I definitely think everyone should
Thank
come.
you, by the way.
Especially, why not? Come in, say goodbye.
Well, I know that we get in heated discussions sometimes on here, but it's all
doesn't mean we
for
can't love
fun.
each other.
That's right.
Why can't we love each other?
We can love each other and still disagree. I mean, heck, that's the way a lot of marriages are,
Well, your wife is a liberal. And let's just not forget, I have probably saved your marriage over the last 6 years because you say to me,
you give me
what you
to
don't say to her. Chicken.
All right, well, the cat's out of the bag
I
now.
deserve an anniversary card every year, too. I've saved this marriage.
Oh, my. Well, hey, we have coming up at 8:30, we'll talk to Tanya Hudson She's going to tell us about Medicare identity theft. It's apparently a big deal, and we'll be telling you how you can avoid that. At 9 o'clock, we have...
I wonder if it's as simple as don't answer your phone, don't get on the internet, don't talk to anyone.
Don't have a checking account, don't have a credit card.
Nothing.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay.
Then at 9 o'clock, we have the State of the City. Today, Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanting will be joining us.
Mm-hmm.
I have to approach this carefully. Now, most people who listen to this show know that I am a diehard conservative. And I am, and I will probably never change. But that doesn't mean that when I see something going on that is wrong and bad, that I'm going to sweep it under the rug or apologize for it or try to justify it. Today, in the major papers of the state, including the Times News, which is where I got this, State Representative Judy Boyle wrote a letter to the editor, and it's very interesting. She is also a member of the House Education Committee. She is a state representative from the Midville area, and she's a Republican. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go through this letter, and then we'll discuss. As a conservative state legislator from rural Idaho, member of the House Education Committee, supporter of the Idaho Education Network, and lifelong Republican, I have been carefully watching this issue since 2009, when a state contract was awarded to connect Idaho's schools, libraries, and many state agencies with high-speed internet. The federal tax on Idahoans' phones was to pay 75% of the cost. Correctly done, it brings the world to Idaho students and citizens, especially in rural areas. However, when it becomes illegal and corrupt, I must speak out. Idaho citizens are watching crony capitalism in action. A rigged contract required a homegrown company, Syringa, to sue for justice and finally prevail. The state court recently ruled in favor of Syringa, voiding the $60 million contracts to Quest, CenturyLink, and Education Networks of America. The court also denied the state's motion for summary judgment, adding that an agreement in violation of the state's procurement law cannot be fixed or cured. The cost to the state taxpayers so far, $11.4 million, appropriated last legislative session to cover withheld federal funds through February of 2015, $964,676 in attorney fees, $13 million million to repay the feds, yet to be determined Syringa attorney fees and damages, and bidding and awarding a new contract. The federal government could bar Idaho from receiving additional funds. The district court judge quoted Idaho's law: any sum of money advanced by the state shall be repaid forthwith. Any person refusing or delaying shall be forthwith prosecuted at law for the recovery of such sum of money so advanced. The children of Idaho will be the losers if recent history is any indication. A deal is probably quickly being written to clear the governor's friends and donors from paying back their illegal gain, as happened in the Idaho prison scandal. Why did this occur? It is an example of crony capitalism, corruption, special favors for campaign donors, the governor's staff moving to lobby and or work for the very businesses receiving the contracts, or from those companies to the governor's staff. It is backslapping good old boy networks, winks and nods, cover-ups, denying involvement, blaming others, attacking those asking questions, or with the courage to say the emperor has no clothes. In January 2009, the State Department of Administration awarded a bid to Syringa, a fiber optic network provider operating since 2002, consisting of 12 rural Idaho phone companies and Syringa's partner, ENA. An independent panel chose Syringa as the least expensive and most proficient, with scores well above another company, Quest, now CenturyLink, in 6 of 7 categories. Syringa's cost was $570,000 a month to run the network, to Quest's $874,000. Syringa already supplied the service to numerous rural Idaho schools with 2,000 miles of fiber optics. The following month, Otter's close friend and business partner, then Director of Administration Mike Gwartney, replaced Syringa's name with Quest. but kept ENA's name in the contract. This voided the Syringa contract. The illegal maneuver came after a confrontation between Syringa's CEO Greg Lowe and Gortney when Lowe suggested methods to save the state millions. This year, the legislature finally learned the federal government cut off funding in 2013 after the Idaho Supreme Court ruled for Syringa and sent the case back to the district court. This is an issue of right and wrong, not Democrat or Republican. Will Idahoans tolerate such blatant corruption and backroom illegal deals with the taxpayer expected to pay all the bills, twice in this case? Will Republican legislators allow themselves to be intimidated into silence simply because of a Republican governor worried their bills will be voted or not even printed? Vetoed, I'm sorry. Worried that their bills will be vetoed or not even printed. Has Idaho become as unjust and corrupt as Washington, D.C., which specializes in political parties first, principles and ethics last? Again, that is Representative Judy Boyle, a Republican from the Midvale area.
And the thing that I would say, and what I first thought of today is, wow, Judy, I appreciate the fact that she wrote this. I really do. And you have no idea if she's going to get backlash, which she probably will.
Oh, absolutely.
But I want to say, Judy, why didn't you write this 3 weeks ago before the election? And then my second thought was, it doesn't matter in this state because we had some of this information about CCA, about Otter. It didn't matter. We have the thing about Ron Crane. It doesn't matter. We have Lawrence Denny with his shenanigans. It doesn't matter, which is really depressing to me. But now, and I have to say, how many people knew about the $11.4 million appropriated last legislative session to cover these things? Did you know that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I remember.
And the $900,000 in attorney's fees and the $13 million to repay the Fed. It's has this been one of the best kept secrets around, or what? Or is it just politics and we report on it after the election?
Being a conservative, it pains me to talk about this, but truth is truth, and I'm sure that there's probably a lot of circles out there that are going to come out now and have all kinds of bad to say about Judy Boyle and this, that, but she has really put her neck on the line with this letter.
And it's not like this isn't proven. I mean, the feds stopped paying because of the illegal contract.
The courts ruled.
Yeah.
The courts have ruled. So
where yet governor gets reelected.
And people ask me why I am in favor of term limits. It's because power corrupts. When they are in there for so long, they become corrupt.
Yeah, but our voters have a responsibility.
It is a fact of life, ladies and gentlemen.
No, term limits are
I am not sitting
here.
Just a minute. I'm not sitting here talking two-faced because I will be the first to admit I did not vote for Otter.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So you can't blame me for this, and I am speaking from my own true feelings right now. This is Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. So what do you think? Is Idaho as corrupt as Washington, D.C.? Idaho politics? Is any state's politics as corrupt as Washington, D.C.? Politics is a corrupt business.
Well, and everyone thinks, oh, no, we're not like that. We're not like that. We're Idaho. We have different values, our family values, our conservative values that we hear all the time. You change a contract by the stroke of a pen and boom. Not to mention how much more it was going to cost taxpayers. Oy. And that was a homegrown business. Idaho business. I find it disturbing, but that was, and many other reasons why I didn't vote for Otter. But I'm like, would it have made a difference? And I have to say, with some of the people that were elected this time, I guess not, which is really sad to me.
7360300 is the number to call. Top Story, you're on the air.
Kelly, remember we did vote in term limits, but our favorite man, Bruce Newcomb, broke the rules or changed the rules. Remember that?
I remember that very well, yes.
How long ago was that?
When was that? Back in the 90s?
I think that was probably, I'll bet you 10 years ago.
Oh, it was longer than that. It was before the turn.
I've been here 10 years.
It was in the 90s, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know how he got away with it, but we ought to put that back to a vote and get this changed.
We're going to have to do something.
I'm a conservative too, and I agree that this shouldn't happen. We should have term limits.
Well, you know what? We do have term limits. We have a vote. And you know what? If everyone came out and voted and didn't vote for Governor Otter, we would have had a term limit.
What we need...
Voter apathy is bad enough, but don't sit there and make it easier for people not to go vote. Let them actually not vote for an R behind his name.
What we need is honesty. We just need honest, good, honest people.
Well, Where
have they gone?
Why are they still being reelected? They had some good, honest candidates running against some of these people that were flawed candidates. We all know they were flawed, and yet they won. I mean, that's what's disturbing to me. You don't look at this. We had an inkling with CCA. They knew this was going on, not to mention the other things Otter has done or not done for the state, and he gets reelected. And now Judy writes this, which I'm glad she did, although I would have loved to have seen it before the election and see maybe would that have made a difference? Would it have made a difference for the last caller?
7360300, top story, you're on the air.
You know, Kelly and Jill, the thing is government can really only be as corrupt as the people allow it to be. And unfortunately, the people of Idaho allow it, just by the way they vote. You know, I relocated up here in 2002 because it was more conservative, it was a lot less expensive, cost of living was good. But now that I've really found out what Idaho is about, I got to say, I almost regret relocating to Idaho.
Where did you come from?
Well, I hate to say it, but I came from California.
Well,
wow.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I came from Boston, but I have to say I'm so discouraged. It's really, it's upsetting. And then to read this after the fact is even more upsetting.
I don't feel bad about living in Idaho. I mean, I was born and raised here, and I still think there's hope. It ticks me off when you have these people who are in charge and then they destroy your faith in them by being dishonest. Now, don't believe me, I'm not so naive as to think that you know what? No, I think you could be a totally honest politician if we just had a change of heart. But the problem of it is everybody just says, that's just politics. Politics is corrupt, and that's the way you got to do it. And that's the reason it continues to be this way. No. And I'm not blaming just the Republicans in this case. I mean, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, and actually, as she said, it's really not a Democrat or Republican thing. It's an honesty thing.
Well,
why can't you just be honest? Why you have these people who embezzle, you have these people who are dishonest, they do this, they do that, they do the other thing, and you ask yourself, how did they think they weren't going to get caught? Why is it that we have this in our society? And it's permeated politics so badly now that Idaho has broken the law. Now there might be a lot of kids in this state who may not be able to graduate now
I saw that.
Because this is going to, if this has an effect on the broadband going to some of these schools, they won't be able to take these online classes. I mean, this is a huge deal. This is a huge deal, and I realize that this is a hugely conservative Republican area. But you know what? It comes down sometimes to the point where you got to call a spade a spade. This is wrong. This is illegal. This is dishonesty that is going on in our own state government by our own state leaders, and damn it, I am tired of this.
Well, no one
We've
seems
got to do
care.
some changing here, and we
we
need
just
to have
had an election.
I don't think it would have made any difference.
Well, that's
the sad
depressing.
part about this.
And
Top
the
story,
sad
you're
thing
on the
is,
air.
if Governor Otter was a Democrat, those same people who don't care would be screaming from everywhere. It shouldn't matter what the party is.
Top story, you're on the air.
Good morning, Kelly and Jill. This is Dunlap. How are you today?
Hey, how are you, Dunlap?
Kelly, first off, I want to tell you we'll miss you on the radio.
Thank you, sir.
Secondly, regarding term limits, it's easy to say term limits come up every time there's an election. It doesn't. If Otter is on the ballot and Belukoff is on the ballot, you have no alternative but, in my mind, to vote for Otter. Not that I'm a great Otter fan. But Belukoff was not going to get my vote under any circumstance.
Understood. Hey, I understand.
There were four other
limits,
candidates.
I'm sorry. I thought I was speaking, Jill.
Well, I'm
Maybe
sorry.
Okay,
It's
well,
our
actually,
show, too.
nobody is, because we got to go to a break. Sorry.
Oh, we went over.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. I apologize for having to cut our last caller short. We may be able to take this up again at 9:20 because this is kind of a big deal here in the state. At least it is as far as I'm concerned. And but anyway, right now though we have a guest, but I want to tell you that it's what is it, like 9? No, it's not. Yeah, it's 19 degrees right now.
Wow.
19 degrees.
It's warming up.
So you may have some firewood issues, like, oops, I didn't get enough for the winter if it's going to be like this. That's not a problem because the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment have the Husqvarna and Echo chainsaws, and they have great deals on them. They have service and sales, and you need one of these because it could be a long winter, a long, cold
I think it's going to be.
And a lot of people, more and more people nowadays are cutting their own firewood, or at least having that as a backup type thing, And these Husqvarna and Echo chainsaws, I mean, they can go through that wood like a hot knife goes through butter, So you stop in and ask them about it at Clearwater Power Equipment. They're at 252 Washington Street. The number is 734-7767, and tell them that Kelly and Jill and Tanya sent you. We have Tanya Hudson with us this morning. Now, Tanya is the Senior Medicare Patrol Volunteer Coordinator.
Yes, thank you so
much. All right. Scoot right up there to that microphone there,
okay.
Tanya. And I know we're going to talk about identity theft in Medicare.
Right, and Medicare fraud, abuse, and errors.
Is there a lot of it?
There truly is. Actually, the government has found that they could not manage the amount of fraud, errors, and abuse.
Isn't that sick?
It truly is. And so in 1997, they actually had a committee, governmental committee, decide that we need to get a grassroots effort and have the Medicare beneficiaries now help in this fight. And every year, it's about $60 billion that is lost to fraud and abuse.
Can you imagine? Florida is a huge abuser. I am sorry. Florida is bad. There's some states are worse than others, right?
Right, and they've actually begun a task force. They're called HEAT, and they focus on the larger cities to really gather back in the monies that have been lost. And for every dollar that is spent in an investigation, they retain 8. So it's a 1-to-8 ratio in the monies that they can pull back once we.
So it's worth it.
It is truly worth it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so how does it happen? I mean, is it big chains of people that are just corrupt, or could it just be a single provider that thought, well, this is a way to make a little more money?
Well, it's a little of both. You have larger chains who perhaps are corrupt. You have individual providers who are corrupt. We had in Idaho, and I've had a lot of people say, well, this doesn't happen here. And we know we trust our providers to provide excellent quality of care. But unfortunately, sometimes greed gets in the way. And it starts small, upbilling, upcharging, misdiagnosing for a higher rate of pay. And then it escalates.
Well, we could say you had this, but if we say you have this, it'll pay 4 times as much.
Exactly.
But does the patient even know?
No, and that's part of the larger education that we provide. Is start to have, how do you as a patient, how do you as a beneficiary really know what's happening to your Medicare billing or in general healthcare billing? This is something that all of us should pay attention to.
But when you go to the doctor and say you're on Medicare or whatever, and you say, I think this could be it. Like maybe it could be simple as like a B12 shot, something like that. And then they're like, no, you need an EKG and you need a lung x-ray and you need this, this, and this. Is that an example of it? Because it is Medicare. I mean, sometimes having more tests than what you really think that you need?
It is an example. Truly, it's Medicare. Medical necessity drives what we need to have and what we need to have provided to us. So if a provider perhaps says, I know you came in today for a cough and cold, but I'm going to turn around and do this gamut of testing, a CT. You wouldn't need that for a cough or cold.
Right.
That would be something that would be a red flag. But
so how do you stop it when you're the patient and your doctor is just going full steam and they're not really listening to you anyway? How do you stop it as a patient?
Well, first there's 3 things that we tell them to do. The first is protect yourself. Protect yourself by keeping your Medicare card hidden or away. You only bring it to your doctor's appointment. You only bring it to the pharmacy. It has your social security number on it.
Why? With a letter behind it. Why? I mean, like you don't know. I thought that is so ridiculous.
Well, I believe that when the program started back in the 60s, they didn't have the very quick and brilliant scam artists that we have today.
Yeah, that's
They
probably
didn't
true.
have computers back then.
People were
They didn't
honest
have-
back
yeah.
then.
Yes, wholesome and
How has
and
it not
true.
changed? Is that something they could change the system now?
I believe that they are looking to do that, and it's, again, government has to make those decisions. With the Medicare Advantage plans, if someone chooses Blue Cross instead of the Medicare, they will get a Blue Cross card, so that starts to turn the tide a little bit. But so the first and foremost is protecting their Medicare card. 70% of people still have the original Medicare A and B. So that means that they're still carrying around a card
Right.
that has their Social Security number on
Right.
it.
Right.
Wow.
The next is detecting. Everyone needs to pay attention to their Medicare summary notices, which they receive quarterly, or the explanation of benefits that you get from your healthcare provider.
Before we go into that, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
We have Tanya Hudson with us. He's the Senior Medicare Patrol Volunteer Coordinator here in Twin Falls, and we'll be right back on Top Story. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. We're going to get back into more Medicaid fraud and false billing and all kinds of stuff today. Man, today
It's fraud day.
is fraud day, I guess. Illegal
Why not?
day.
I know.
You know, I mean, all
It
of
used
my...
to be the scam of the week, but no, it's fraud day.
You know, all of my visions have been shattered here,
Oh,
or at least
just
a lot
now?
of them have. But at any rate,
Today?
here's one thing that you can count on. The folks at Stanley and Company, they have the Low and Honey Loader, and we've been talking about this quite a bit over the past, and how it loads all types of manure from liquid to frozen and dry. Today it would be the frozen type, I'm thinking.
I would think.
And if you want to see one of these in operation and think, man, you know, I'm tired of putting up with this, I need something to handle this, get a hold of Pat Hartzell at 280-1167 so he can sell you one, or he can fix you up so you can at least see one of these in operation, do a live demo, as they say. And he's the guy to talk to with Stanley and Company. His number 280-1167. Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company. Okay, so Tanya Hudson is the Senior Medicare Patrol Volunteer Coordinator. So you work. Who do you work for? You work for the government? Is that what this is?
No. I actually work within CSI's Office on Aging, and it's a grant-funded project. So with the grant-funded project, there's accountability that happens, hours that we spend and what monies we spend. So that's nice. We are measured and protected and make sure we don't fraud you.
Yeah,
Is it state
exactly.
money or is it Fed money?
It's Fed money.
Fed money, okay.
Mhm.
And
So this is kind of a way that the feds are spending money in order to maybe cut down on some of this Medicare fraud and get back some of this huge amount that's...
Right. It's looking at spending money to retrieve money.
Yeah.
It's helping because truly the Medicare Trust Fund is what will be impacted by this.
Right.
And everyone is impacted by this. Tax dollars are impacted by this. So I myself may not have Medicare at this time, but I definitely pay taxes.
Yeah.
And therefore I'm affected as well.
And
Sure,
60 billion
absolutely.
in fraud is
A year.
no like little chump change. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Could you imagine what we could do with that if we could put it in education or something
Well,
like
why
that?
don't they put it back into the Medicare system?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where it was to begin with. So you were on your
Well,
second point.
I tell you what, we got a caller,
We have a caller.
but we're going to get into the billing part of it here
Sure.
in just a second. But first, we got a caller. Top Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Hey, I have to ask again. I missed it just for a second. Did you say that for every dollar invested, you get back $8 in fraud?
Well, no, that is actually the number the government uses to justify the funding for this program, is that for every dollar of investigation that they put forward, they are able to retrieve $8 back in the fraud and
I
they
mean, that's
investigate.
simply amazing. That shows you what kind of a scale that they're dealing with here, and definitely something needs to be done. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you. Appreciate it.
It's awful.
Appreciate it.
I mean, it's mind-boggling.
It's sad. It's sad, especially after the topic we talked about first, and we're probably going to talk about it again after this. It is sad that there is just so much dishonesty. Nobody, and it's getting even worse. I mean, in school, the kids think it's okay to cheat on their tests. Anything you have to do to pass.
Right.
It is it's sickening.
But here it's greed, and it's always greed is always
Yeah.
the source of everything. So you were on your second point of
Which
what
is
you're
how
doing with
you
us.
as a beneficiary can detect this.
Okay.
So the first is protect. Protect your Medicare number. Protect yourself from identity theft. The second is detect. You may have an itemized billing from the hospital, but truly looking at what is displayed on your summary notice, your Medicare summary notice or your explanation of benefits tells you what your insurance paid and what was billed. And that's where you can see, wait a minute, I didn't have that lab. Call your provider and have that corrected. We always assume that first and foremost, it's an error. Medicare and Medicaid billing is very complicated.
Yeah.
And so we think, okay, this might be an error. So the first thing would be call your provider and say, hey, I didn't have this lab, and have them remove it. Now,
before you go any further, this deals not only if you're, you don't have to be on Medicare for this.
No,
this
no.
is just
Hospital
good operating
stuff, yeah.
procedure. Yeah,
true,
okay.
True. It affects everyone. Our focus is Medicare. We're truly
Right.
looking to protect the Medicare Trust Fund and help our seniors save their money. Medicare is not something we want to go away and something we want to protect, but it truly affects everyone. So again, if you look at your Medicare summary notice, you look at your EOB, you will see if there is misdiagnosing or duplicate errors or anything that was inappropriate that your insurance was billed. That's the first thing.
Well, my mom actually, she got her finger bit off by her dog, whole nother story, but she went to the ER, they stitched it up, but the bill was something over $10,000. And she, seriously, she went back to them and said, how can this be? What are you talking about? And their answer to her was, well, we have to bill higher because we don't get reimbursed enough from Medicare. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is what I've heard this a lot from people. Well, it's because we don't get enough back. How do you respond to that?
Well, for myself, if someone told me that, I'd say, okay, well, that sounds like fraud and you should be investigated.
But my mom's 81. You know what I mean? When you're 81
right.
and you're trying to deal, she questioned it because it didn't make sense to her. And those are the questions. This is the answer you get back. Where do you go from there?
Well, truly, I think your mother should have had someone sit down with her and go through the bill and see what was appropriately billed and how it's appropriately billed, because it's complicated. And I think servicing that, she probably would have identified areas that perhaps she didn't receive, didn't receive an extra aspirin or whatnot. Yeah. But and who also is on the bill. I think one of the most confusing things to our senior population is the secondary provider. If they had an x-ray, they knew they had the x-ray in the office, and all of a sudden they see another doctor who was billing for the x-ray because the radiologist billed to read the x-ray.
Right.
So I think it's helping them understand the billing. I believe that response is inappropriate.
But I'm sure a lot of people have heard that. I've heard that from other people. Yeah. I've heard it from doctors who say we have to bill more because we don't get reimbursed enough.
They have people, too, that I know in this town who will go over your bill for you and help you with that.
They do. Yeah. Mm-hmm, they do. And I know for our hospital and most of our providers, they have registered and licensed coders who look and make sure that they're billing appropriately.
Okay, so we go over our bill because hopefully we don't run out of time for all the pertinent information. What's the next thing?
The next thing is reporting. If in this case of your mother, she gets that response, it would be to report. Call my office, call me, and I'll sit down with her and we'll look to see truly what is on her bill.
She's in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if someone's here locally.
Yeah.
And actually there's an SMP in Texas. It's in every state, even in Puerto Rico and Guam. This is everywhere, this program. Mm. So it's reporting. It's calling your provider first, saying, hey, this is an error. If you don't get the response you like, or you would like to turn around and have someone else help you with it, that's what we're for.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air with Tanya Hudson.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
My wife and I are both past 75, and we're on Medicare. And we've had these companies that are trying to get us to join them. That's providers for Medicare, like Humana and Secure Horizons, and I don't remember the names of all of them. And I understand Medicare pays them $1,000 to $1,200 a month, the average for the costs of the bills in that area for people. And so isn't this draining our Medicare system?
Well, not understanding completely is if you are being asked by Humana to join them?
Yes.
Okay, so right now is the open enrollment until December 7th. So you will be hit, and most Medicare beneficiaries will be have the option to choose a Medicare Advantage plan. And it sounds like that is what is you and your wife had happened to you.
Is that legit?
It is,
yes.
Truly.
Okay.
Yes, but what I'm talking about is Medicare is paying them
an average of the bills in that area, which is $1,100 or $1,200 a month, every month that Medicare is that you're on in this company, they're paying that company the $1,100 or $1,200, which normally we don't have any bills at all unless we get a cold or something like that. And
so you're saying
it's costing Medicare $1,200 when normally it wouldn't cost them anything.
Are you familiar with this?
A little bit, truly. I'm not. I don't want to speak out of term, but I know that Medicare makes contractual obligations with different insurance companies, and there are some monies that are paid to them to provide you services, but I'm not sure exactly.
Wasn't that the whole Medicare Advantage deal? And they took out the $716,000 billion from that because they were paying them to find insurance. I thought they stopped that. Did they stop that program?
I'm not sure.
It's probably similar to the Medicaid program in Idaho with Optum, in that the federal government pays Optum like $10 million a month, and then Optum redistributes that money to the claims, or is supposed to, and that's where all the issue has been coming up with the Medicaid thing, too.
Well, this is what was at the last presidential election. They took that money out because it's like paying a provider to provide you. But anyway, so maybe this man could call someone to get
Definitely, he can call our office.
What's the number?
736-2122.
736-2122. So maybe he can follow up and you could deal with the situation personally.
Yeah, we've gone over quite a bit of stuff here this morning, and I'm sure we're not going to be able to go over everything. But do you have workers at your office that are there just to take phone calls and answer questions, or?
Well, we have employees that help with numerous things, but in this case with insurance, we have two who are better versed than I. To help with insurance questions and thoughts. My focus is to get out and do presentations. This is a volunteer-driven project, so I'm working on recruiting volunteers to get us out in the communities. I've done 4, but we want to be out there to get the peer-to-peer and grassroots to talk to everyone. Okay,
so they're going to, what is their job? It's telling people about this fraud and ways you can avoid it? Is that the whole deal?
It is. It is education on Medicare, and the 3 things that we always have them take back is to protect, detect, and report.
Okay.
We
got another caller. Top story. You're on the air with Tanya Hudson.
Good morning.
Hi. This isn't really pertaining to anything we're talking about right now, but I just heard last night that you're retiring on Friday, and I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed listening to you on the air and listening to you and Jill go back and forth, and it's been really good, and sad to see you go.
Well, thank you.
Well, come out Friday to his party.
Yeah,
the
come
Turf
Friday
Club.
to the party,
5 to 8. And Kelly's last day will be December 31st.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, unfortunately, though, I work on Friday. I run a local brewery tasting room here, and I won't be able to make it out, but that's why I wanted to call and be like, I really appreciate what you did all these years.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the good thoughts.
And Kelly is actually too young for Medicare, so
I am.
You'll have to wait a few more years, and you'll have to protect, detect, and report.
Yeah, just not long ago I was too young for retirement too, but now here I am.
I know. It creeps up on you. So what should people do if your parent is in Medicare and older, and maybe you're not in the same state? Like I said, my mom said, how do you protect them? Because they get very vulnerable. People call them, they sign up for things, they hand them their card. What should you do?
I think the message to share with your parents and our family members is that Medicare never calls or emails. So if someone calls and asks them for money, that's fraud. Hang up.
Or for their Medicare card.
Exactly. You should never have or deliver your Medicare number for a free offer.
Yeah.
It's just hang up. And we have to teach them it's okay to hang up. It's okay to be rude and hang up.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
They're such suckers. They're so sweet.
It is okay to be rude.
Makes me so mad. They take advantage of the elderly.
I'm not even rude to them. I just hang up.
But they don't. They're from a different, my mother, she's not going to hang up.
They'll have a conversation with them and try to explain to them why they don't have time to talk to them.
Exactly.
We got one more caller. Let's see if we can get one more in. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Kelly, what I wanted to ask you, I don't know if this has been asked before because I don't get a chance to listen all the time, but is the show going to go on?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it's going to go on. Do you have a question for Tanya? We have some good information. So.
No, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it that way. I know.
I
just wanted to know who's going to take your place.
Well, they're working on that right now. As a matter of fact, they've done a worldwide,
nationwide,
universal-wide search
looked
to
under
try
every
to
rock,
find somebody
rock
to replace me. And I don't know. I'm out of that loop. The management here is taking care of that. And that's one of the things I don't have to worry about, frankly. So, but thank you for your good thoughts. I appreciate that. And Tanya,
I'm sorry.
Tanya, I know we're out of time, but we got a lot of good information in here, and I think folks are kind of on the lookout now. So, give your contact information again, if you would.
Okay, so it's CSI's Office on Aging. The number is 736-2122. And my name is Tanya Hudson. So, thank you.
Tanya Hudson, thank you very much. Keep up the fight.
We have Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning this next hour with the state of the city, and then we'll probably get back to our little issue of alleged fraud in the state government when we continue on Top Story. And welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call. And welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Cal. What's wrong? Oh, gosh. He's distracted again. Shiny object. Something's buzzing.
I'm just watching my phone ring.
Okay, well, we do have a live radio show going on, and we have the state of the city.
Yeah, I think it's corporate. Should I answer it?
No.
Okay.
Maybe it's someone saying, Kelly, I'm sorry you're retiring. Will the show continue?
Yeah. So anyway.
Maybe it is corporate to tell you they found someone.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think they'd tell me?
I don't know. They haven't told me.
I don't know. It might be a surprise on January 2nd. I don't know.
That will be some surprise, Kelly Class. That will be some surprise. No, I think they're trying to get someone in soon.
We do have Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning with us this morning on State of the City. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Yes. Well, now it's official. The Twin Falls City has changed its structure. So tell us what changes have been made and why those changes were necessary.
Well, most of the changes were made in response to our strategic plan that we finished during this last year, and we're trying to make the city more flexible, be able to move forward, and also recognizing our growth that will be coming in the future. I mean, most estimates have Twin Falls at 60,000 by the latest 2025.
Wow!
And so that's quite a growth.
That's only 11 years away,
right? And
10 years actually.
I know.
And so we're as you look around town and hundreds of houses being built and things along that line, that the population is coming. So we try to restructure the city government in a manner that we can be responsive to the citizens and plan for that growth, knowing that we're coming along. And to be quite honest with you, we've got a great city manager in Travis Rothweiler, but we had overburdened him quite a bit at this point, and so most of the structures to help him to be able to move forward with the things we kind of expect him to be moving forward with, like vision and things like that. He really just doesn't have time to do right now. And plus, he's always been a very big part of our economic development, and this new structure will recognize that role. Economic development has moved over under him because several other things are parceled out to two new deputy city managers, and so hopefully that we can even out the workload and we don't burn out the most important person in the city.
Yeah, so what was the change? I mean, the two, in case people aren't familiar.
There was some movement around of different down in the structural ways. Probably the first one that people won't see a big change, but it makes a difference for the people there. Public Works was under the engineering department, and we have moved it to be its own separate department. So water, sewer, wastewater collection, the city shop, those things are now all under their own department run by John Caton, who has been in charge of them, but he'd been underneath the engineering department, kind of elevates his position to where it probably needs to be. Probably the other two big ones are the movement of things around and the development of two deputy city managers. We had an assistant city manager in the past. Now we have two deputy city managers, one for public safety, and that has already been appointed. That's going to be our current police chief, Brian Pike. He will be the head of public safety, and he will have both police, fire, Dispatch, who was under police now, has kind of moved out into a separate distinction. And also code enforcement comes over from the planning and zoning department to where it probably should be. And then for the future things, emergency preparedness and things like that, as we get to be 60,000, let's say, we may feel like we need our own position and not be able to just rely on the county for that service, which we do now. And then the other deputy city manager, really his role is not changing a great deal. It's just an elevation of what he's already been doing, and that's going to be Mitch Humble, who's going to be deputy city manager for community services and development. Planning and zoning, engineering, public works, all those things will be under his line of influence or control. And
so he used to be over planning and zoning, right?
He was
so
his title before was community services director. So his role really doesn't change very much. He picks up a few new things that come under his purview, but it is more of an indication of what his job already has been. He's already been somewhat of a deputy city manager. In fact, as you can tell, we didn't change his salary much. This is just more on his particular portion is more of a.
But my question is, if you have now, he's no longer over that now. If you're raising these people for the different groups like Parks or Public Works, like for John or whoever's going to be now over the P&Z department, because I assume they would then report to Mitch. Those would be his committee. Are all those people getting promoted? I mean, they were now over those departments, where before they really weren't that responsible.
Like I said, his title was already. I probably misspoke a little bit by agreeing to what you had said. He was over planning and zoning, but already he wasn't had charge of planning and zoning. That's Renee Caraway. He was actually in a position above that, who was responsible for not only planning and zoning but many other things. So his is more of a change in title than it is a change in function.
But what about for Brian Pike, who was the chief of police? Are we now getting a new chief of police, and is the fire chief, the same? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Now that they're
there will be a new chief of police. Right now the plan as we set right now is revenue neutral. Well, or it costs us slightly more, not a lot more. He will be moving up over this and the entire fire, police, dispatch, code enforcement, and there will be a new chief of police. But because that chief of police won't have quite the same responsibilities, the salary will probably reflect that somewhat. It'd be a little bit lower than say Brian's is, maybe not much lower, but a little bit lower. So there will be a chief of police, there will be the fire chief, and then we will have one echelon above that coordinates those two groups. There's always been a natural rivalry between fire and police. They get along pretty well, but I really do believe it'll help to have somebody who is coordinating both of those departments. And so if we have any kind of a situation like we seem to have had a lot of here late, that we have a complete coordination of someone in charge of that. And then, like I said, we moved code enforcement over there, and it takes a lot of those responsibilities for all those, the police and the fire and everybody reporting to the city manager. Now they'll report to the deputy city manager. And it allows Travis to have a little bit different, more of a world view of our department rather than trying to be in charge and have all these different people answering directly to him.
So what's the bottom line here? Is it raising? Is it costing? What's it costing the taxpayers?
Well, right now, this particular as of right now, because we're not right now we're not planning on appointing a new police captain should one of those captains move up. We probably won't replace them right now until we see how things are working. Right now, it's revenue neutral. It's not costing the taxpayers any additional money. Plus, we have.
Where did they get the money from to make it revenue neutral? Because they obviously got raises, but so where did they take the money from?
Well, like I said, we got a police captain possibly coming out. We have 300 and some of the money. If we do need to add additional money, the firemen. Most people don't understand that the firemen used to have an older retirement plan that was separate from Percy. It was rolled into Percy, but it was tremendously underfunded when it was rolled into Percy. So we have been paying, I believe the amount, don't quote me exact percentage, I believe we've been paying 17% per fireman to catch those funds up, so to make them. How
long have you been paying it like that, and for how long does that go on?
Well, it actually ended this year. That's where I was where some of the available money may be. We found out after we'd set our budget that we were no longer going to have to do that. We're dropping back to the normal amount that we pay for everybody, and so there was, several $100,000 that were available from that. Just that one change alone. We've been doing it. I don't know how long we've been doing it, but ever since it rolled in, probably I want to say 20 years, 15
You're
years.
kidding.
Yeah.
That many years. And how many? What do you normally pay?
I think we play. An employee's paying 6. I think we pay 9. Something along that line.
Okay.
Again, these are exact percentages that I don't know.
Yeah.
I see the budget with a total amount, not how much did you take out of his check and how much did you
But
pay
also
for
you have
his
money
check.
because of Mike Williams. They're
Right,
not
and
having
Mike
an
Williams,
assistant
that
city
was
manager.
Right. We did have an assistant city manager that we had not filled, and so a big portion of one of these salaries will be paid for probably in Brian Pike's because Mitch's doesn't change that much. So a lot of the salary for the new deputy city manager of public safety will be paid for out of Mike's salary, who's now the city administrator for Jerome.
So when do you start a search for a new police chief?
I believe we're starting right away. No later than January 1st, but I believe we're actually putting out feelers already to think. We do have some people, I believe, that will probably be interested from internally.
Yeah.
But
well, I was going to say, I'm retiring on December
Yeah.
31st, so maybe I should.
He'd like to drive around and yell at people.
That's right.
Write a ticket.
We do.
You would be out of control.
We do have fairly stringent requirements for that. but I don't know.
I would hope so.
Which would weed me out, right?
I would hope so. If Kelly could be police chief, we're in trouble.
I believe you have to have been a police captain or lieutenant for X number of years to be able to be.
You were a couple years ago with Halloween or something, weren't you? Yeah.
There's always a catch.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been an honorary title bestowed upon you somewhere during all these years.
Oh, I've had a lot of honorary titles, but none of them are good. So.
And then we can stay on the air.
I talked to Kelly right before we went on the air, and I congratulated him on his retirement. And
thank you, sir.
And I'm one of those old guys around town. I remember listening to you on Keep a really long time ago when I was a teenager, and I had no idea you were a teenager at the time. So
he was born with that voice. I mean, you're 5, you sound like that.
I had this voice at 15 years old. It was great. The ladies loved it.
And you didn't realize that.
I'd get calls, from gals in their late teens and 20s thinking I was about their age, and here I am, a 16-year-old.
Kelly's like, please don't call me. I'm embarrassed. I'm blushing. Don't ask me out. Some of your biggest regrets in life.
I digress. I digress.
But I do congratulate you. I'm mostly retired. I have the city council part-time job, and like I told you, I'm sure you'll find some things to keep you busy as well. But
I got plans already.
It's a pretty good feeling to have them send you a check for a month, and you've paid for it in the past.
That's exactly right.
You've worked to pay for the money they're going to send you now.
You betcha. Well, before we go here, what will the citizens of Twin Falls, will they see any changes in the day-to-day operation? Probably not.
I don't believe they'll see any changes in the day-to-day operation, but my hope is that we will be more responsive to our citizens, and that this new structure, because we didn't get into all the different changes that went on down there, we'll be more responsive and be a better city as far as serving our customers, which are our citizens.
Has that been a problem? Have we had a problem with being responsive?
No, but I see as we grow, we're going to have to be more flexible to be able to keep that same level of commitment to our citizens and for the service that we provide, because as we get a lot larger, our police force obviously will have to grow, our fire department will have to grow, everything will have to grow, and so you just and then all of our other services throughout the city, and you've got to be flexible to meet that new need.
Sure. Well, Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning, thanks for being on
Thank
State of the
you.
City today. We appreciate it.
Stay warm.
This is Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. We're back. 7360300, always the number to call here on Top Story. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Billy Emerson.
Billy Emerson, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is spoon.
Spoon.
S-P-O-O-N. Spoon.
Spoon.
Go to our website, newsradio1310.com. Click on word of the day. Type in spoon. Listen tomorrow. If you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, it's $100 coming your way.
How easy is that?
Doesn't get any easier than that.
And if you play the word of the day, you start winning points for all those people who called in who are going to miss you terribly.
Oh, yes.
You'll be able to enter to have lunch with Kelly and me. It'll be the last time we're going to do this with Kelly class.
Yeah.
So please enter, save up your points, and get extra entries. And
there's always the party coming up this Saturday from 5 to 8 at the Turf Club.
Or Friday.
What did I say?
Saturday. Don't say Saturday. Why? It doesn't matter. You said the wrong thing. Friday, 5 to 8.
Friday, 5 to 8. I can't believe I said the wrong day.
Well,
anyway,
I hate to break it to you. Maybe it's time for you to retire.
Maybe it's time for me
I
to go.
think when you can't even remember when your own retirement party is, it's a sign. It's just a sign. Don't worry.
You are right.
We'll
Jill.
get you there to the right spot.
I'm sorry. What was your name again?
I know, exactly. Every day. Friday, 5 to 8.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, I know the first part of the show, we talked about the letter to the editor from State Representative Judy Boyle, talking about the crony capitalism going on in Boise. And she was specifically targeting the situation that happened with the state broadband delivery to our schools.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been a deal that's been brewing for a while, and there's a lawsuit, and the judge says, yep, state of Idaho broke the law. They sent it back. So state of Idaho's been having to pony up millions of dollars to keep broadband in the schools. And the plan that they have put into operation, if I remember right, ends in February. So they're going to have to come up with another plan. The government, through the FCC, said that, well, wait a minute, this plan is flawed. The courts say so. So we're not going to pay for this. So the state has been paying for it, and it's cost the state millions of dollars.
And millions of dollars. And not to mention, because there was a story last night about these kids who, they might not be able to graduate because they aren't going to be able to take these classes. They're only offered online.
Yeah, and this was on KMVT this morning.
Yeah.
The possible consequences of a judge's decision are being felt statewide, and it could determine whether or not some seniors graduate.
Right.
So
Huge
if
bummer.
I were a senior or the father of a senior, and this came about, I would be livid if this caused an issue.
Every taxpayer should be livid, frankly.
Last week, a judge voided the $60 million contract to provide broadband in Gem State Public Schools after it was ruled the Idaho Department of Administration violated the state's procurement law.
Mm-hmm.
And this, as I understand it, this was not... sorry about that. This was not a mistake or an accident.
No.
This was a deliberate attempt to get Syringa out of the picture and get Quest, which is now a CenturyLink, into the picture, apparently after the agreement had been signed.
Mm-hmm.
So this was apparently a purposeful act that did this. And... I am upset about this.
We all should be upset.
And we all should be upset. And I asked the question, the bottom line question, why can't we just do things the right way? Why can't we just be honest about this stuff? When the voters send you to and some of this stuff was done by people who weren't even elected. They were appointed. But you know what? It's when you're in charge, you get the blame. And that's what's happening now. And Governor Otter is getting the blame for this.
Well,
and other
do you
people
think
involved
he did not
too.
know this was his person?
That's just it.
Department
that's
of Administration.
And this is not a rant against Republicans because I am a conservative and I usually vote mostly Republican, but doggone it. I mean, when the Democrats goof up, I'm first in line to point it out, and when the Republicans goof up, I'm going to be first in line to point it out, because this kind of stuff just isn't right. The means do not justify, the end does not justify the means. Well, and you could even say the means do not justify the end.
The most disturbing thing to me is we just had an election. This could have determined the election, but not in Idaho. I mean, we've had a lot of problems.
No,
and Judy,
I don't think it would have.
I wish Judy would have written this 3 weeks earlier, but maybe, I don't know why she felt like she didn't. Maybe she felt like now she could. I don't know. She's a member of the House Education Committee, and maybe she was felt guilty, but I don't know. I mean, I wish, how do you know? Maybe something would have helped. The guy got reelected. There were other people on the ballot. There were 6 people to choose
Well,
from.
you know
If
what?
you didn't want to vote for
I know,
Beloukov,
but that's behind us now.
I know,
we
but
can't
it's
go
so
back.
frustrating because it doesn't seem to matter to Idahoans what their elected officials do.
We can't go back. And if the Democrats out east weren't so corrupt and weird, then maybe Idahoans would vote for better Democrats here in the state, because the saying goes, and I think what you said it, then in Idaho even the Democrats are Republicans. But at any rate, outgoing state school superintendent Tom Luna said he's confident students won't suffer.
Really?
From
How's
the
he so
judge's rule.
confident?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
But let me tell you this. If this does affect the seniors, every parent, every grandparent in the state should protest, and there should be anarchy.
Well, call Sherry Ibarra because she's your new superintendent of schools in January. I'm sure she'll fix it.
We'll be right back. 7360300, the number to call here on Top Story. I don't know if you missed it or not. I think yesterday was Dave Hansen's birthday. Dave Hansen from Canyon Pawn, whom we talk about every day right here on the show.
I drove by. I was waiting to see you out there singing him happy birthday, but I didn't see it.
No, but I tell you what, even if it was yesterday, that doesn't mean you can't go by today or anytime this week and wish him happy birthday.
That's right.
And see what he's got in the store. Lots of guns. Last time we were in there, he had lots of guns. He has lots of camping supplies and fishing poles and tools. And you might think, fishing poles, that's a summer tool. Not necessarily. Because right now, I'll bet there's a lot of ice fishing going on.
We'll have to ask Kelton.
And, well, when Kelton was here a time or so ago, he said the fishing was fantastic.
It was, and with a little salt, pepper, olive oil, and garlic.
Yeah, that's right. It's
so
even
is
better.
the fish.
So are the fish. You got it. So,
Gotta love Kelton.
Stop by Canyon Pawn. They're on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota. They would love to have you come in the store and take a look. The nice, clean store.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. You could probably, well, like I said yesterday, if you drop something to eat on the floor, the 10-second rule would apply instead of just the 5-second rule. It's that
I
plain.
didn't even know you had a rule, Kelly. I mean, I didn't even know there was a limit for you.
Well, it goes up pretty high, let me tell you, depending on the availability.
I know, exactly.
It's like if it's like a nice good bite of steak or something, it might even go up to the 1-minute rule.
Cinnamon rolls or donuts Doug brings in every week.
Canyon Pawn is well, I already told you, I guess, on South Shoshone Street across from Will's Toyota. Big sign out front. Can't miss it. So if you want to buy something or you want to pawn something, that's the place to go.
Go there.
Well, how about the Gooding School District, huh?
How about that Gooding School District?
Undergoing more issues here, according to, there's an article, big article in the Times News this morning. Gooding School District officials calling for Superintendent Mary Larson's resignation. My God, can't anybody get along?
Wasn't she just hired? She hasn't been there long.
No, she hasn't. School board decided Tuesday night to hire an independent facilitator to help work things out.
They said they cannot work with her?
But the employees say, get rid of Superintendent Mary Larson. The school board saying, well, we're going to hire a facilitator here to try to get things worked out. More than 90% of school employees voted Monday in favor of a statement of no confidence in Larson, the superintendent.
It kind of begs the question, like when you have 90% of your employees, okay, you might have a few disgruntled.
Yeah.
When you got 90%, your response is, let's hire a facilitator. Like maybe you should actually look and see what's happening here, and maybe the facilitator isn't necessary. You could save some money there and get a new superintendent. This is the second one they just got.
This is a worse disapproval rating than Obama has.
In Congress.
So
Congress is at 9.
So there you go. But anyway, Larson started as superintendent in July. She was hired following a nationwide search. So anyway, and there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the Gooding School District. And of course, because of the open meeting laws and the closed meeting laws and the executive sessions and all this stuff, there's really not a lot of information about why this is all going on.
I wonder if she came from Texas, because there was a little bit of a hubbub over the handbook.
Yeah, which
came from Texas, which my understanding is the district just came up with a handbook, and they were saying that she didn't have permission to use that. It was called plagiarism. And now she's saying she has permission, but they didn't want the Texas handbook. So,
well, which begs the question, who's in charge?
Which begs the question, you bring someone in, and do you do stuff like that? I mean, the one principal, employee A, we will call him, was suspended for 2 days.
Apparently it revolves around this handbook thing, but it does beg the question: if you have a new superintendent making decisions that maybe most of the people don't like, but who's in charge? If the superintendent is in charge, then that leaves you with, well, 2 ways to go about it: either follow the rules or find another job. I'm not sticking up for anybody here. I'm just saying those are the facts.
Well, those are the facts, but are you going to lose 90% of the employees?
Well, I know. That's just
Gooding
it.
already has had a problem. They
I'm
just
just
lost
saying.
their superintendent and the principal. We still don't know why from last spring, right? That was still a mystery.
There's a lot of mystery
in Gooding
going on around here, folks. I don't know. There's mystery at CSI. There's mystery in Gooding.
Yeah.
There's mystery in Boise. There's mystery. I don't know. There's mystery everywhere.
Well, I like it at CSI.
The world
I
runs
saw
on mystery.
the board minutes, and when someone showed up from the public, they got their 3 minutes to talk about how they wanted some explanation about, they were upset about the payout for the coach. They were told, by law, we don't have to talk about it, but thanks for coming. Wow. You just think, at what point, come on. There's got to be something. And when you get 90% of your employees, it's more than just a few. You've got a big problem here. Do you really think a facilitator who's going to be paid $5,000 to $6,000 is going to help that situation?
And Gooding School District is not that large.
And now
$5,000 to $6,000 would be a lot of money.
Is a lot.
Yeah.
That's probably the price of a first-time teacher there.
We'll be right back here on Top Story. You're cruel.
I know.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Well, there are other things going on around the country, not just, hell didn't fall in Idaho, just Idaho today.
It just seems like it.
It just seems like it, I guess.
But don't worry, we just had an election. We fixed all this stuff.
Well, the Senate has failed to vote for construction of the Keystone XL pipeline.
Yep.
Rebuffing a Democratic senator fighting for her political career and setting up a confrontation between President Barack Obama and Republican-controlled Congress over the pipeline next year. Senators voted 59 to 41 for the pipeline, falling 1 vote short of the 60 needed to get past a threatened filibuster and pass the bill. 14 Democrats joined 45 Republicans in voting for the bill. The vote was steeped in election politics after refusing to allow a vote for months. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid cleared the way to help a fellow Democrat Senator, Mary Landrieu, facing a tough runoff election in Louisiana where the pipeline is popular. Her opponent, Republican Representative Bill Cassidy, sponsored similar pro-pipeline legislation, and it passed the House of Representatives just last week.
I know, that's the perplexing thing. His bill, if this bill passed, it wouldn't be Mary Landrieu's bill. It would be Bill Cassidy's bill from the House, who is her opponent. Why would you help your opponent's bill get passed? I don't understand what the thinking here. A lot of people don't understand the thinking here. What is she thinking?
The thinking is that most of the voters in Louisiana are in favor of the Keystone Pipeline. So
and it's your opponent's bill.
But so what? If you come out against it...
She's down by double-digit
points. Now we're down
points.
to we don't want this to pass because it might be a good, the people want it to be a good thing, and so the Republicans will get credit for it. So we Democrats, we can't be for that.
Actually, that's not why I'm against it.
That's just what you, but the reasoning
I'm saying
you gave
in her political,
is that.
That's her reasoning, which does not make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. There's enough reasons to vote against it, and they can't even vote for it because there's a part in, I think it's South Dakota that's still in, or Nebraska, I can't remember which state, it goes through so many, that is still in court deciding if that's even the proper route, not to mention the treaties it violates, not to mention there was a spill in Nebraska that that happened last year from this pipeline that still hasn't been cleaned up.
From this pipeline, it hasn't
It's joining with another pipeline. There are pipelines.
The reason Landrieu is in favor of it, or at least she says she's in favor of it, is because her constituents want it.
Well, I don't know why, because it doesn't show it's going to.
It doesn't make any difference.
Of course it doesn't matter. Of course
they want
not.
it.
It's
no,
not
I'm
even
serious.
going to benefit Louisiana.
It will.
No,
It'll create
it won't.
jobs. It will create jobs for workers from every state, Jill. They can go there and build the pipeline. What do you mean? It's
For
not
a couple years, they're going to have jobs to build it, but then there's only going to be 50 jobs that are permanent from this, and we're not getting the oil. We're not helping the U.S. It seems ridiculous. I mean, there's so much about this. It's just really a political football, but I don't understand her reasoning. I don't understand her reasoning.
Her reasoning was because her constituents were for it. If she came out against it, she knew she would lose hands down.
She's losing hands down anyway.
But it doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't.
She's trying to make up.
She's
trying to make up. You're right. She has lost.
And
it.
also, well, how transparent is that? I'll just do this thing that people have been fighting about for years, and then you'll think I'm really sincere. Do you know what I mean? It's now another person pandering to what? What are you going to do for the people of Louisiana?
Happens with Democrats.
Give them 50 permanent jobs. 50 jobs?
You know what? If you're one of those 50, that's pretty darn important.
In the Gulf.
It's pretty darn important.
Oh, yeah. Let's change everything for 50 jobs.
Well,
oh my gosh.
It's 50 here, it's 50 there,
Yeah,
it's
right.
75 here, it's 25 there.
I mean,
where are you going to get something that's going to produce, say, 1,000 jobs in one place?
Here's a
Those
news
are
flash.
pretty rare.
Why don't we actually do a transportation bill, a federal transportation bill, which would increase a lot of jobs across the entire country, which the Republicans voted against. So for years we've been trying to fix our roads. It would increase a lot of jobs, a lot of economies. It wouldn't ruin aquifers. You know what? There is a way to do jobs. This one is not a big job thing, and I don't even understand the benefit. If it went over our aquifer and our aquifer was polluted, they still have a spill from a year ago that hasn't been cleaned up, how would we feel? Without our water in this valley, we are dead. Dead.
You know, we do have a pipeline that goes right over our aquifer, and it comes right through Twin Falls.
Where in our aquifer, where?
It comes right through the area here. They rebuilt it here a few years ago.
And what's it carrying? Crude oil?
It's carrying, I believe it carries natural gas.
Oh, so there you go. But crude oil apparently is definitely more thick, more toxic, and is very difficult to clean up. Have you seen the things in Nebraska?
So should we just drop oil? Should we just drop it?
I think maybe we should, because we're doing pretty well without it.
We are?
Yeah.
If we dropped oil today, you wouldn't be able to drive your car. I wouldn't be able to drive mine. We wouldn't be able to fly our planes or run our trains.
I think we should be looking at alternatives to help. We've been doing this for years. When you look at Brazil, I think they're dealing it with, sugarcane stuff?
It's just so simple. We'll just drop it.
But let's just put it over people's lands that we have treaties on, and no one's upset.
What are we going to move to? What are we going to go to?
What do we use now? Yeah, we have natural gas. We also have water. We have solar. We have wind.
Natural gas comes from the oil well.
We have wind. We don't have to have fracking.
So how are you going to run your car?
Oh, I'll use oil.
Well, no, we're doing away with oil.
Yeah. You don't think there's anything we could do to supplement this? Do you really think the only answer? You think the only answer is going from Canada's dirty tar sands down to Louisiana to ship it everywhere else in the world? Do you think that's the only answer for jobs?
Do you know why the price of oil has gone down so much? It's because of all the oil we are producing from the tar sands. If we don't have
the tar sands in Canada, no.
Yeah, it is.
No,
it is. Jill, the experts will tell you it's because of what we're producing in Canada and the United States right now.
It's in the United States.
There's drilling in South Dakota, or in North Dakota, wherever it's at. All of that drilling of the oil, that's what's causing the price of oil to drop.
But it's not coming from Canada. Why should Canada use our country to put their pipeline? They think this entire pipeline will have 50 leaks. 50 leaks. And so you're like, is that worth it? What if you don't have that huge aquifer? Plus, you're going over.
How many leaks do they have in the Trans-Alaska pipeline that all the environmentalists were so much against?
I'm sure they have leaks as well.
Back in the 70s.
I'm sure they have leaks as well.
There haven't been any major incidents, though.
How do you know?
Because we would have heard about it.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear about the major incident in Arkansas? No. I mean, the whole neighborhood is cleaned out. The whole neighborhood is still filled with oil in the ground, on the ground, in your home. You know what? I say Mary Landrieu has. We are late.
We're way late. And you can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger are the financial advisors, and the number to call is 736-6563. And I apologize, we kind of got into that a little bit late. However, we did get all the meat of the message of the Huckabee Report. But
that's good.
Jill kept bringing up these stupid reasons for not having the XL pipeline, and so I was trying to combat that, and then we just
ineffectively, I might add.
But anyway, we're late getting into the Huckabee Report. So
when are you retiring?
Well, I do want to tell you though, and I know this is the last thing on your mind right now is irrigating your alfalfa field, but something you might want to look into for this coming season is the Certiset from Farmore of Idaho. When the weather's right, it's important to take advantage of it. You know that. And the Certiset Solid Set system allows you to water almost to blooming. And when the blooming time comes, you can start cutting immediately without having to relocate the miles of pipe. You just place the pipe in the guides and you start cutting. It's that easy. And as soon as the last bale is picked up, you can get right back to irrigating and get across your field quickly. Don't have the expense of having to move the pipe out and then moving it back in. They can tell you a lot more about the Certiset at Farmore of Idaho, so I would suggest giving them a call at 324-30. What's their name? What's their number?
You have the sheet,
324-3341.
Are you okay?
I think so. 324-3341. So that's the folks at Farmore of Idaho. They can tell you about the Certiset. And my party, which is coming up Friday at the Turf Club. Well, actually, it's not my party, but...
Well... Why are we having a party?
Well, I'm not putting it on. The town
But
square.
why are we having a party?
Well, because it's my retirement and going away party.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is your party.
Well.
And you'll cry if you want to.
It's from 5 until 8 o'clock.
Turf Club.
Friday at the Turf
Club.
Yes.
Friday.
Please stop.
Turf
You don't
Club.
have to stay the whole time. You can if you want, but you
just
don't
come
have
by
to
and
stay.
say hi.
Stop by and let me meet you, and because I was thinking too, we need to have a guest book.
Well, Kelly, put that on your list.
If we don't have one scheduled already, I'm going to get a guest book because it would be nice to have folks sign when they come.
Are you going to take care of that, or is that something I need to do?
I don't know. I need to talk to probably the management here and see if a guest book
then
has
figure that
on
out.
Yeah, okay. I'll do what I can. If not, I can just grab a pile of papers from here and just set them there with a pen. Just have people sign, because that would be better than using new paper. We would be recycling. We'd be using used paper. That might be more ecologically better.
Well, that would be nice.
Okay.
But do a guest book, because then you can look at it when you're 80 and go, who was that? What did I do?
When was this?
I retired?
Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. It's Thursday. We got what do we got coming up tomorrow?
I don't know, Kelly. Why you asking me?
We got the cops with the bad guys.
Got the cops right now.
Okay. So we'll see you then. Have a good day. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.